Congratulations, you've been selected for the most prestigious job you will never be able to quit. In a few minutes, you'll find out what happens to the ones who lose favor. It is not what you think. It is significantly worse. Welcome to the Imperial Palace. You wake up before the sun because sleep is a privilege distributed unevenly inside these walls, and you are not at the top of that list. You get dressed in silk, which sounds wonderful until you remember the silk was chosen for you, the style was chosen for you, and the color was chosen for you, based on what your patron finds visually pleasing this season. You are essentially a decorative object that has learned to play the lute. You also put on makeup. Yes, makeup. White powder on your face, rouge on your lips, something dark around your eyes. This is not optional, because your job, let's be very clear about your job, is to be beautiful, not capable, not wise, not strong, beautiful. You are a man in ancient China wearing makeup before sunrise, practicing a bow in front of a bronze mirror, hoping a powerful nobleman finds you sufficiently attractive to keep you alive and comfortable. There is no word in classical Chinese for the specific feeling you are experiencing right now, but there probably should be. Before you were selected, you were examined, not quickly, thoroughly. A eunuch inspected your hands, your posture, your teeth, your skin. He assessed the shape of your face, the way you would assess fruit at a market. Is this one fresh enough? Worth the price? Your family, if they were poor enough, may have presented you willingly, negotiated a fee, smiled, and waved as you left. You were, at that point, a transaction. You arrived at the palace and discovered that being a transaction is actually the good version of how this starts. Your job, officially, is culture. Music, poetry, calligraphy, philosophical conversation. You are here to make a powerful man's evenings feel elevated. Your job, unofficially, is to be whatever he wants, whenever he wants it, in whatever way he wants it, without hesitation, without complaint, without the option of saying no, because the option of saying no does not exist inside these walls. You are not an employee. You have no contract. You have no rights. You are property that happens to know how to recite poetry. You spend your afternoons performing, your evenings performing, your mornings performing, in the sense that every single interaction inside this palace is a performance, including the ones where you're just asking someone to pass the tea. Let's talk about the nights, because the selection process skipped this part entirely, and your family, if they knew, apparently decided it was something you'd figure out on arrival. Here is what you figure out on arrival. Your body is not yours. It belongs to your patron, the same way his furniture belongs to him. Completely, without negotiation, and with the expectation that it will be available whenever he feels like using it. When he calls for you, you go. There is no polite decline, no version of this sentence that ends with you staying in your room. You go, you smile, you perform whatever is required, and you register zero reaction that could be interpreted as reluctance. Because reluctance is an opinion about what's happening to you, and you are not permitted to have opinions. Some patrons are merely demanding. Some are creative about it. Some have a very specific idea of the correct social hierarchy between a powerful nobleman and a young male companion, and they intend to make that hierarchy physically explicit. You smile through all of it. Afterward, and this is the part that will haunt you, a court scribe writes it down. Not metaphorically, literally. Scribes with brushes dipped in vermilion ink, logging the details of your evening into the official archive. There was even a dedicated book for it. Biographies of the emperor's male favorites. Your private life, bureaucratically preserved for historians you will never meet. You are not just being used, you are being filed. Somewhere on a shelf, next to tax records and military dispatches, is a document about last night, and the night before, and every night stretching back to the first one. You are property that generates paperwork. You have a patron. This is the good news. The bad news is that you are one bad evening away from losing all of it. You read his mood before you enter the room. From the way the eunuch outside holds his hands, from how quickly the door opens. By the time you're seated, you already know whether tonight calls for music, or silence, wit, or warmth, making him feel intelligent, or making him feel adored. Getting this wrong has consequences ranging from a cold dinner to a one-way reassignment to a distant estate where the weather is bad and the only visitors are people who have also been quietly erased. The competition inside the palace is not subtle. It is also not fair, not honest, and has no rules. There are 30 other men in this compound who want exactly what you have. Every single one of them is talented, charming, and completely willing to destroy you if it advances their position by half a step. And when I say destroy, I mean destroy. This is not office politics. Historical records document rivals poisoning each other, framing each other for invented crimes, bribing eunuchs to alter what got reported upward. The next week, a new companion arrives, younger or just new, which in here is the same thing. Your patron laughs at something during the new companion's first evening, and you smile because you have to smile. And inside, you are doing very rapid calculations. Your meals still arrive, your clothing is still fine, but the smiles in the corridor have changed, and the invitations keep arriving later, less often, until 1 week they don't arrive at all. You are not in trouble. You are simply becoming invisible. Now, let's say your patron doesn't drop you. Let's say he keeps you, favors you, all the way until the day he dies. Congratulations, you have survived to the worst possible outcome. Because when your patron dies, you do not get to grieve and move on. You do not get to find someone new. You do not get to leave. In the earlier dynasties, you would have been buried with him, literally placed standing in a pit, alive, to serve him in the afterlife. An honorary feast first, then a wooden platform, then a rope. The practice was called sunzang, and it was considered a mark of loyalty. Your family received a noble title for your sacrifice. By the later dynasties, this had mercifully been abolished, which means instead of being buried alive, you were simply forbidden from ever being with anyone else for the rest of your life. Sealed in a distant palace wing, ceremonially invisible. A permanent widow of a man you never married, mourning a relationship that officially never existed, for decades alone. This is considered the good ending. So let's talk about the other endings, the more common ones. Your patron reassigns you. You pack your silk, collect your loot, and bow to people who bow back with the specific warmth of people who are relieved it's you and not them. If you get sick during any of this, you are not examined. A doctor is forbidden from touching you directly. Your symptoms are described to him through an intermediary. He guesses at a prescription. Whatever happens next is between you and fate. If you become too ill to be useful, you are not helped. You are thrown out and replaced, and if your patron decides at any point that you would make a fine diplomatic gesture, because yes, this happened, it is documented, you are handed to a foreign king, like an ornamental vase, one prison replaced by another, except now the prison is in a country whose language you don't speak, belonging to a man you've never met, and everything starts over from the beginning. But here is the part that should bother you most. After all of this, the makeup, the performance, the nights, the filed reports, the pit, the palace wing, the reassignment, the vase, someone eventually wrote it all down. Not for you, not to honor you, or mourn you, or acknowledge what you endured. They wrote it down as a warning to powerful men, a manual called Biographies of the Emperor's Male Favorites, documenting case after case of favorites who caused political instability by being too beloved, too powerful, too much. Your life was an administrative lesson. The moral of your story, as recorded for posterity, was, don't let this happen to your court. You were not the subject of the biography. You were the mistake the biography was written to prevent. The safest thing now is silence. Quiet rooms, quiet work, quiet obedience. Under no circumstances reminding anyone how you arrived. You were selected, after all. Nobody selected you to leave.